Katharina von Bora was the wife of perhaps the most famous reformer of the Reformation, Martin Luther, and played a pivotal role in the success of his ministry throughout their married life. They were both not afraid of controversy and did not live their lives to appease the crowd, but lived by conviction and sought to honor the Bible as their rule of faith and practice. They were both trailblazers. A former priest marrying a former nun was both revolutionary and scandalous, and they paved the way for many ministerial couples who would follow in the following decades and centuries. Born in January of 1499, she was gifted to a convent at the age of 5 by her recently remarried father. She then took her vows at the age of 16 right here at the Marian Throne Convent in Nimschen. On one of Luther's preaching grounds at the nearby priory in Grimma, the prior got hold of his sermon notes and sent them to his 2 nieces, Veronica and Margaret, who were also based here at this convent. They in turn shared them with some of the other nuns, and they started to study the Bible together until there were 12 altogether studying. After studying for several years, they came to the conclusion that they needed to leave the convent. But how? Women were not allowed to live alone then. They needed a male guardian, either their father or a husband, and all of them wrote to their families seeing if they would take them back, but none of them would. One of the nuns, Margaret von Staupitz, sister to Martin's friend Johann, wrote to Martin asking for his help, and he advised that they break out and began to make the necessary plans to do so. Martin solicited the help of Leonard Kopp, who rode here to the convent with a wagon loaded with fish barrels, and some chronicles say the women escaped inside the fish barrels. Three of them disembarked in Torgau, while the other 9 came all the way here to Wittenberg, and Luther assumed financial responsibility for all of them. One by one they were married until Katharina was the only unmarried nun. Luther suggested she marry Caspar Glatz, an elderly minister who some say was almost 70 years old, but she told him she would not, but she would consider marrying him. Augula von Grumbach wrote to Luther encouraging him to marry, but he said he would not, as daily he expected the death of a heretic. But in 1525 he changed his mind and they were married. Their love wasn't instant, but it grew over time, and a few years later Luther would comment, "I would not change Katie for France or for Venice." He also referred to her as the morning star of Wittenberg, a reference, some say, to her early rising each day, but more likely a reference to her gifts and the impact she had here in Wittenberg. Most of what we know about her comes from Martin's letters, as none of hers were preserved, a testament to how women and their work was viewed in the 16th century. She had a lot to contend with when they got married. Martin wasn't very domesticated. Apparently, he hadn't washed the bedsheets for an entire year before their marriage. She took the entire household in hand, rising early each morning to care for the home, the field, the livestock, and other industries, as well as taking care of the family finances. Luther often referred to her as "my Lord Katie," and she was very skilled at caring for his various diseases, depressions, and eccentricities, being particularly skilled with nutrition, herbs, poultices, and other natural remedies. Their house was huge by today's standards, with there being 40 rooms on the first floor that were often entirely occupied with visiting guests, asylum seekers, and family members. Their house was part home and part hospital. Katharina bore 6 children, one of whom died in infancy and another at the age of 14. Martin Luther was 16 years older than her and died in 1546 when she was 47 years old, after which she struggled to make ends meet. She rented out some rooms, she bought another farm and sold some wheat, but she further struggled when Wittenberg was besieged, firstly by the emperor and secondly by the plague. Evacuating here to Torgau, the horses she was riding threw her off into a ditch of cold water. Her daughter Margaret, now 18, nursed her, but sadly she would die 3 months later on the 20th of December 1552 and is buried here. Her last words were, "I will stick to Christ as a burr to a topcoat." Katie was a woman of character and courage, sensible and non-sentimental, tender-hearted and also hard-headed, determined and hard-working. She was a woman who had a fixed career trajectory in life, and yet she was not afraid to change it under the impression of the Holy Spirit. It changed her life, it changed Martin's life, and it impacted the wider Reformation. Maybe you are on a course in life and God is calling you to change it. Do not hesitate. Do not be afraid. Do not be dismayed, and do not be discouraged. God will open doors for you, and your heart will be at peace knowing you're following His will for your life. Lineage is a crowd-funded non-profit studio. We make videos, we write articles and books, and we've got a podcast. And it's all to share the stories of biblical and Christian role models in history. We uncover heroes from the past to inspire, guide, and help today's generation connect the past with the present and the future. And it's all free for you because it's been generously paid for by thousands of supporters all over the world. Your support is helping millions of people understand their identity, their purpose, and their mission in life. Crowdfunded means whatever you give, big or small, helps us accomplish our mission. You can help us make more resources by joining our mission. You can give at lineagejourney.com.